D-Mac has always been a product of his environment. Growing up in a world full of violence, betrayal, and broken promises, it's no wonder he's found it hard to break free. From the very start, his life has been shaped by the streets where every decision could either make or break you. His journey has been one of constant struggle, trying to escape the shadow of his family and the dangerous life he was born into. But as we've seen, no one truly escapes the streets. Looking back at his past, D-Mac's story isn't just about surviving the life he's been thrown into. It's about the choices he's made and how those choices have defined him. His decisions, whether driven by loyalty to his family or the need to survive, have always led him back to the same place, caught between loyalty to Tommy and the pressure of staying true to his own morals. But what happens when the past comes knocking again? D-Mac's journey is the perfect example of how the streets never forget. Every time D-Mac thought he was out, something would pull him back in. From his strained relationship with his uncle to his complicated involvement in Tommy's world, D-Mac's life has been anything but straightforward. He's made mistakes, yes, but he's also been forced to learn from them in the hardest ways possible. However, no matter how hard he tries, it always feels like the past is just around the corner, ready to remind him of who he really is. Now, in Power Book 4, Force Season 3, D-Mac is once again standing at a crossroads. The choices he made in the past, the people he hurt, the enemies he made are starting to show their consequences. For every step forward, it feels like 2 steps back. The streets, the people around him, and his own decisions are all pulling him into a future that might look a lot like his past. And the scariest part, he knows it. D-Mac can't escape the fact that history might be about to repeat itself. And he's staring right into the face of the very thing he tried to outrun. In this season, D-Mac's struggle isn't just with his enemies, it's with himself. The mistakes he made before are now haunting him in ways he didn't expect. He's forced to confront the fact that no matter how hard he fights, he can't outrun who he is. And as the tension builds, we see how his actions and his past are starting to collide in ways that could have devastating consequences. The past has a way of shaping our future. And for D-Mac, it seems like he's about to be reminded of that the hard way. D-Mac's struggle is more than just a battle against the world around him. It's a fight against the legacy that has been handed down to him. From the moment he stepped into the streets, his choices were never truly his own. They were shaped by his family, by Tommy, and by the unforgiving environment that surrounded him. But as he gets older, D-Mac realizes the weight of this legacy, how every decision he makes not only defines his own future but also echoes the past in ways he never fully understood. Looking back, the legacy of D-Mac's life is one of power, loyalty, and bloodshed. His uncle, who served as both a mentor and a cautionary tale, showed him early on that in this world, loyalty is everything, but loyalty often comes with a price. D-Mac's connection to his uncle was built on a foundation of respect, but also on the unspoken understanding that their bond would eventually be tested by the harsh realities of their lives. His uncle's life, full of ambition, betrayal, and ultimate tragedy, served as both a roadmap and a warning for D-Mac. In many ways, D-Mac's choices have been a reflection of that legacy. He's made decisions based on the loyalty he feels to his family, to Tommy, and to the streets. Every time he's been pushed into a corner, he's chosen the path that feels like survival, even when it's the hardest one. And yet, those very choices, which seem like the only options at the time, have often come with severe consequences. Tommy's influence over D-Mac cannot be understated. He's the man who pulled him deeper into the world of drugs and violence, offering him a taste of power that D-Mac could never have dreamed of before. But with that power came responsibilities and risks. D-Mac's relationship with Tommy has always been complicated, one of admiration, trust, and sometimes tension. Tommy's own flaws have often mirrored D-Mac's struggles, with both men facing similar demons. In many ways, D-Mac has looked up to Tommy, hoping that he would one day break free from the cycle that Tommy, too, has found himself trapped in. But D-Mac is beginning to realize that he can't keep following Tommy's lead without eventually paying the price for it. What's most significant about D-Mac's journey is how deeply intertwined his choices are with the past, not just his own, but the past of everyone around him. In the world of power, every action has a ripple effect. DMAC's decisions have impacted those closest to him, from his relationships with Tommy and his family to his interactions with people who are only loosely connected to his world. As DMAC starts to see, his actions have a much wider impact than he ever anticipated. The more he reflects on his past, the more DMAC realizes that he can't continue pretending that he's just a product of his circumstances. Every person he's hurt, every relationship he's strained, has come back to haunt him. The ghosts of his past are closing in, reminding him that there's no such thing as getting out clean. It's a hard lesson to learn, especially for someone like DMAC, who's tried so hard to carve out a future that's different from his family's. But no matter how far he tries to run from the streets, from his family's legacy, he can never truly escape it. And now, as the tension builds in Power Book 4, Season 3, DMAC faces a crossroads that could define his future. The choices he makes in these critical moments will determine not just his fate but also the fate of everyone around him. Will he make the same mistakes that his family made before him? Will he fall victim to the same cycle of violence, betrayal, and loss that has plagued so many others in his world? There's a constant tug of war in DMAC's mind. One part of him wants to break free from the past, to forge his own path and make different choices. But the other part of him, the part that was shaped by his environment and his upbringing, understands that the streets have a way of pulling you back, no matter how hard you try to escape. DMAC knows that history has a tendency to repeat itself, and as the stakes grow higher, he's left wondering if he's destined to be just another part of the same cycle that took his uncle down. What's clear is that DMAC can't outrun his past forever. His decisions in this season will either mark the end of his struggle or plunge him deeper into the very world he's been fighting to escape. In this life, there's no such thing as a clean break. For DMAC, the past is always just one wrong choice away. And it's only a matter of time before he has to face the consequences of everything he's done and everything he hasn't done. Loyalty, it's the most powerful force in the world of power. For DMAC, loyalty has always been his guiding compass. But it's also been the very thing that keeps pulling him back into the chaos. Throughout his journey, loyalty to family, friends, and even the streets has been both a strength and a curse. As DMAC faces new challenges in Power Book 4, Season 3, the question becomes not just about what he's willing to do for loyalty, but what loyalty will cost him in the end. In a world driven by power, loyalty can make you, but it can just as easily break you. Loyalty to Tommy has always been one of DMAC's most defining traits. It's a bond that's been forged in fire, through shared battles and common enemies. DMAC's relationship with Tommy is complex, built on mutual respect but also a certain level of tension. Tommy has offered him power, opportunities, and guidance, but at a price. Tommy's lifestyle, his choices, and his world come with an inevitable cost, one that DMAC is only starting to fully understand. The deeper DMAC gets involved with Tommy's operations, the more he realizes that loyalty in this world often comes with a blood debt. The question now is, how far is DMAC willing to go for Tommy? Will he sacrifice his morals, his family, and even his own future to repay the loyalty he owes? But loyalty to Tommy isn't the only bond DMAC has to navigate. His loyalty to his family, specifically his uncle, has been another driving force behind many of his decisions. The weight of family loyalty is something that's been ingrained in him since childhood, and for DMAC, it's been both a shield and a weapon. The tragic part of this loyalty is that, despite all the sacrifices DMAC has made, it feels like it's never enough. He's tried to follow the right path, tried to protect those he loves, but in the end, family loyalty is one of the hardest things to escape from. In his mind, DMAC believes that family is everything, even when it means making decisions that could hurt him or others. This loyalty has been tested countless times throughout the series, but it's about to be pushed to its breaking point. The deeper DMAC sinks into the world of power and street politics, the more he realizes that loyalty is a double-edged sword. In the streets, loyalty isn't always reciprocated. People use loyalty as leverage, manipulating it to their advantage, and when the time comes, they're quick to throw it away. D-Mac is about to learn the hard way that loyalty isn't always a two-way street, and sometimes, the people he trusts most are the ones most likely to betray him. As D-Mac navigates these treacherous waters, he also has to come to terms with the power dynamics at play. Power, after all, is what everyone wants in this world. It's the currency that dictates who lives and who dies, who leads and who follows. And D-Mac is learning the hard truth that in this world, power isn't just about taking control. It's about knowing when to give it away. It's a lesson he's been reluctant to learn, but the stakes have never been higher. D-Mac's loyalty to Tommy and his family is slowly being tested by the very thing that has always been at the heart of their world: power. The more power D-Mac gains, the more it seems to slip through his fingers. The streets, once a place where he found purpose, are now a place where he's losing himself. D-Mac's decisions are beginning to blur the lines between right and wrong, and the very loyalty he's built his life on may ultimately lead him down a path he can't come back from. The tension between loyalty and power is becoming more apparent as D-Mac grows closer to the edge. As Tommy's operations get more dangerous, D-Mac is faced with choices that he never imagined he'd have to make. Each decision carries the potential to change the balance of power, and in this world, one wrong move can shift everything. His loyalty to Tommy has already drawn him deeper into the game than he ever expected. But now, he's starting to realize that the price for that loyalty might be more than he's willing to pay. The loyalty that once made him strong is now the thing that keeps him tied to a world he's trying to leave behind. In his heart, D-Mac wants to break free from this cycle, to carve out a future that's different from the one his family set for him. But the streets have a way of keeping you hooked, of pulling you back into the chaos no matter how hard you fight. As D-Mac moves deeper into the world of power, he's starting to see just how dangerous that cycle is. The more he tries to distance himself from the past, the more he's drawn back into the very things he's tried to escape. The loyalty he's given to others, to Tommy, to his family, and to the streets is becoming his greatest weakness. Power, which once seemed like the answer to all his problems, is now the thing that threatens to consume him. In Power Book 4, force, loyalty, and power are no longer simple concepts. They're traps that D-Mac can't seem to escape. The harder he tries to navigate them, the more he realizes that the lines between loyalty, power, and betrayal are blurring, and the consequences of his actions are about to come crashing down. As the season unfolds, D-Mac's story will be a reminder that in the world of power, loyalty doesn't always protect you. Sometimes it's the very thing that leads you to your downfall. And for D-Mac, it's a question of whether he'll survive long enough to break free from the dangerous cycle of loyalty and power, or if history will claim him just like it's claimed so many others. D-Mac's journey has been defined by a relentless struggle to define who he is in a world that insists on defining him for him. From the start, he's been pushed into a life he didn't choose, shackled by the expectations of family, the pressure of loyalty, and the allure of power. Every move he's made, every choice he's been forced to make, has felt like part of an endless cycle. But now, as the stakes rise higher in Power Book 4, Force Season 3, D-Mac stands at the precipice of a decision that will determine not only his fate but the fate of everyone around him. Will he break free from the cycle, or will he succumb to the same forces that have claimed so many before him? Throughout the seasons, D-Mac has been a character caught between two worlds: the loyalty and expectations of his family, and the dangerous allure of the streets. He's always felt the weight of his family legacy, trying to balance his desire for freedom with his need to honor those who came before him. But each time he takes a step forward, the past pulls him back in. The deeper D-Mac gets into Tommy's world, the more he starts to realize that breaking free isn't as simple as walking away. The people who surround him, the relationships he's built, and the choices he's made have all become inextricably linked to the dangerous world of power, violence, and betrayal. D-Mac's desire to break free from the past is understandable. The past has shaped him in ways he can't ignore, and his relationship with Tommy, which began with respect and admiration, has slowly turned into a trap. As much as he values the loyalty he shares with Tommy, It's becoming increasingly clear that being loyal to Tommy means being tied to a life of constant danger, uncertainty, and moral compromise. Every time D-Mac tries to distance himself from the violence, from the chaos, from the bloodshed, it feels like the past comes crashing back in. The streets are never far behind, and D-Mac is starting to realize that there is no escape, not unless he makes a drastic choice. But the real question is, can D-Mac break the cycle, or is he doomed to repeat the mistakes of those before him? The pattern is clear. Each time D-Mac tries to get out, something or someone pulls him back in. His loyalty to Tommy, his need to prove himself, and the lure of power are constantly keeping him on this dangerous path. The streets have a way of sucking you back in, and no matter how hard D-Mac tries, he's starting to wonder if there's any way out. As the season progresses, D-Mac begins to see that his survival isn't just about making the right choices, it's about breaking free from the very mindset that has trapped him. For so long, he's believed that loyalty to his family and to Tommy is what defines him. But what if that loyalty is a lie? What if it's the very thing that's keeping him stuck in the same cycle that has taken so many others down? D-Mac's loyalty has always been his greatest strength, but it's also his greatest weakness. He's starting to understand that true loyalty doesn't mean following blindly. It means knowing when to walk away, when to break the cycle, and when to make a choice that puts his own future first. This internal conflict is at the heart of D-Mac's story in Power Book 4, Force. For the first time, he's faced with the possibility that breaking free from the past means making a choice that will cost him everything. In order to escape the cycle of violence and betrayal, D-Mac must decide whether he's willing to let go of the very things he's spent his entire life fighting for: his loyalty, his connections, and his place in Tommy's world. It's a brutal decision, one that forces him to question everything he's ever known about loyalty, family, and power. The reality for D-Mac is harsh. To escape the past, he must let go of everything he's known. That means severing ties with Tommy, distancing himself from the street life, and walking away from the only world he's ever truly understood. But is D-Mac ready for that? Is he ready to leave behind everything he's fought for, to let go of the people who have shaped him and the streets that have defined him? The choice is daunting, and D-Mac knows that no matter what decision he makes, there will be consequences. His actions will have a ripple effect, not just on his own life but on everyone around him. As the tension builds, D-Mac is pushed to his breaking point. He finds himself standing at a crossroads, with one path leading back to the world he knows, a world of loyalty, power, and danger, and the other leading to an uncertain future, free from the shackles of his past but at a high personal cost. The weight of his decision is immense. If he chooses the path of power and loyalty, he risks losing himself to the same cycle that has claimed so many before him. But if he chooses freedom, he risks losing everything he's ever known, including his sense of purpose and identity. At the heart of D-Mac's struggle is a question that everyone in the world of power must face: can you truly escape the past? In a world where every decision comes with a cost, D-Mac is about to find out that breaking the cycle isn't as simple as walking away. It's about confronting the very parts of himself that he's tried to suppress, facing the consequences of his actions, and making a choice that will determine the kind of man he will become. For D-Mac, this isn't just about survival, it's about redemption, about finding a way to break free from the patterns that have defined his life and choosing a future that's his own. In the end, D-Mac's journey is a reminder that no one can escape the consequences of their actions forever. The cycle of loyalty, power, and violence is a dangerous one, and for D-Mac, breaking it means confronting the very things he spent his life avoiding. Whether he succeeds or fails, one thing is certain: the choices he makes in this season will determine not just his fate, but the fate of everyone around him. And the most important question is whether D-Mac will finally break free, or whether history will claim him, just like it has claimed so many before.